It's only January 24th of 2024, and already things are beginning to go sour for Disney, and it's not looking good for the rest of this year. Not only is it not looking good for this year, 2025 is not going to be any kind of an improvement with their full slate of expensive failures on the horizon, especially for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So one thing about Deadpool 3 is that we've talked about this many times, that this movie, basically in isolation, Disney is placing all bets on this film to make a decent profit at the box office, since it really is the only Marvel film releasing in theaters. They're really banking on this movie, hoping that it could really give them a better trajectory for the remainder of 2024 after July. Now, we already discussed how there's a 50-50 chance of this movie getting delayed from July until some later portion of the summer leading into the fall, though it does seem a little bit unlikely because there are a lot of other releases coming right around that time, so it would be pretty much a competition for Disney if they were to move this thing further. So one thing about all of this is that we know that Ryan Reynolds has been fighting Disney, along with the writers such as Rhett, Reese, and Paul Wernick, really trying to save the third act of the film, and also really trying to reinstate some of Hugh Jackman's scenes that got deleted. Alright, we already talked about this, how a lot of the violent scenes involving Wolverine got axed by Disney, such as scenes consisting of himself in the wars of World War II, Vietnam, and the Cold War, and stuff like that. But what's interesting about this further has a lot to do with what Disney recently did against Ryan Reynolds that really speaks volumes about Bob Iger's desperation. Now, with the Deadpool 3 drama only getting worse for the creators behind the film and the Disney heads, one major development has to do with the ongoing situation revolving around Ryan Reynolds and the story for the third Deadpool film in the wake of the arguments and heated exchanges that have taken place in multiple remote meetings between the creatives and the higher-ups. As it turns out, in one crucial update, Disney recently banned Ryan Reynolds completely from making any original, intended, unscripted scenes and dialogue for the many characters in the third act. This all came as a result after Ryan was fighting to prevent Disney from inserting their DEI agenda on the third act of the film. Now, Bob Iger felt that the scenes that Ryan had created not only insulted Disney, which we're going to get into in just a second, and all of its divisions, but also the scenes that Ryan was instructed, the actors, of course, and actresses to film for the third act were too extreme when it comes to jokes and crude humor that was presented by the Deadpool character. Now, after the Disney heads looked over recent footage of scenes that were either filmed or partially filmed that needed further editing down the road, they immediately erased them from getting inserted into the final act, or the final cut, for the third act once post-production starts, and are now banning Ryan Reynolds from ever having any kind of opportunity to create scenes that not only, of course, go unscripted, but also scenes that mocked Disney directly. One specific scene that got Ryan completely removed and banned from this creative liberty is that a scene was partially shot that did involve mocking Walt Disney World and the current status of Disney entertainment across the board. In the beginning, Disney had allowed this under the premise that it would be light humor. However, Ryan, Rhett, and Paul, the writers of the film, reportedly went very hard on Disney by poking fun directly at Bob Iger in a scene where Deadpool goes to Walt Disney World in the first act in Orlando and makes a series of jokes about what Walt Disney would think of this company today, followed by a scene where Deadpool enters the boardroom at Disney and takes a seat at the table, instructing the rest of the board that he is in charge now and that not even Bob Iger will have a say. Though the board's faces were not shown in this scene and only their bodies from the neck down, Bob Iger and the higher-ups were very offended over the little footage that was shot that needed to be finished by April during pickup shots. The entire scene is essentially what got Ryan banned from ever filming unscripted scenes, with improvised dialogue for its actors as well, apart from the Disney mockery itself. Now, another scene that Disney removed quickly was a sequence between both Hugh Jackman as Wolverine and Wade Wilson unmasked, played by both Ryan, of course, and Hugh in a actual bar, telling very nasty jokes over a couple of drinks. Now guys, let me just stop here for one moment before I move on. Now the thing about this that's very revealing is the fact that we had a scene that Disney agreed to be created between the writers and the director, Shawn Levy, that would actually poke fun at Disney lightly. Ryan decided to go more hard on Disney and to make it more of a direct insult, so to speak, or something that would really kind of connect to what many people are thinking right now. He wanted to really kind of gravitate toward how people feel about Disney nowadays. And this is ultimately what really put Ryan Reynolds in the doghouse over at Disney when it comes to the third Deadpool film, and losing this creative liberty, getting banned from this creative liberty of having the power to create unscripted scenes and really just, unscripted dialogue getting thrown into the film, and storylines as well. So it goes to show you once more that Bob Iger can never take a joke, Disney can never take any kind of a parody or any kind of a mockery. I mean, we saw what they did against South Park Studios and still are to this day. They're trying to find a legal reason to prove that they were the cause of a dip in Disney Plus subscribers after the Panderverse debuted on Paramount Plus back in October. Now, moving onwards. Alright, now this was considered to be a scene toward the end of the film, also with improvised dialogue between Wolverine and Deadpool, and was cut by Bob Iger. This moment involved breaking the fourth wall by Deadpool and mocking Disney again, with 3 lines of dialogue that created tensions between Reynolds and the Disney heads after recent footage was looked over by the executives. As of now, Ryan is banned from making any, of course, improvised dialogue and or scenes and engaging in any further unscripted material for Deadpool 3 that were planned to be shot for reshoots that were scheduled for this March, the end of March to be specific, that was planned to last a total of 2 to 3 weeks leading into April, before wrapping up the film completely while simultaneously staying active in post-production / editing. So, look, I mean, this is a tight squeeze of a movie regardless, alright? Where it stands right now, they're still filming this thing, they're trying to get it wrapped up by the beginning of February, before they head into post. And then they're gonna really, kind of like look forward to doing some pickup shots, doing some last minute reshoots here and there, nothing extremely major, but it's still a tight shot at really getting this thing out by July. It's going to be rushed, there's no doubt about that. And that is something that I think is worrying a lot of fans, especially of Deadpool, especially for Ryan Reynolds' sake, the fact that he's being put into a position of basically rushing this movie. Disney wants this thing out by July. They don't want to delay it, but if they have to, they will. And those are conversations that have happened between Iger and the board. So again, there's a lot of things going on with this film, the fact that this is ultimately what led and the real reason as to why Ryan is not allowed and has been banned from that creative liberty of creating unscripted material and improvised dialogue. So overall, guys, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.